Welcome. It is great to have you here today on Humanity Evolve, focusing on how to succeed and thrive in a rapidly changing world. I'm your host, Catherine Calarco, a global leader, board director, and advisor in AI and healthcare. It is an honor to be with you today to inspire, inform, and empower our community with wisdom from credible and trusted world experts. These experts are dedicated to sharing their knowledge and creating amazing insights that nurture the best in all of us. And I think what's important about that is that we share wisdom that combines the best of us with technology to create more human connection to support you, your goals, and create a better world. Not only that, but let's get your notes ready today because we're going to be talking about AI and marketing. And our goal today is to identify one actionable strategy that you can implement from our conversation today to help you move the needle on your marketing metrics and create a better bond with your customers. So let's get through it, from delighting customers through hyper personalization to enabling more efficiencies in your organization so you can work less and create more. So today, I'm very happy to have Siara Nazir, who is with us today to share her amazing insights. She is an award-winning global marketer and media leader who has been a pioneer in this space, associated with artificial intelligence-based strategies and solutions for marketing programs. What's amazing is that her growth hacking strategies have been featured in several industry publications and podcasts, such as Forrester. She's a speaker at various industry conferences, and that's how I met her. We talked at a Reimagine marketing conference earlier this year, and we had an amazing conversation, and we think we could have talked forever about this subject, and really how do we actually leverage AI for the good of both our people and the businesses. Siara was also able to showcase an in-house developed AI conversion accelerator. Oh yeah, I want to know more about that. And that qualified and quadrupled conversions. Okay, think about that. She was able to quadruple 4x conversions and double brand strategy. We're going to hear a little bit more about that now. She's a advisor and consultant and helps all kinds of companies from startups to Fortune 500s. Siara, it is amazing to have you here. Thank you so much for being part of the show.
Catherine, I am so honored. I love this podcast that you have going on. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much. Now, one of the things that we want to do when we start is to figure out, since our conversation and even since last year, how have you seen AI evolving? And how's it really going to impact the future of marketing?
So great questions. I think that AI has rapidly changed everything we do. There are universities that are now really trying to understand which essays are ChatGPT generated, which essays are actually real. They're creating their own sort of, playbooks to go by, so the students don't go to ChatGPT. So I think every day is changing. Every day is evolving, and we will see the marketing discipline in particular evolve probably the most. Now, it's been ripe for disruption, and I'll say this because even though digital media came on the scene and about 70% of all of the major companies' total marketing budget will eventually go to digital media, even with that advancement, I still think there's tremendous room for innovation, automation, and even further personalization. And this is where we're going to see AI really begin to further disrupt the marketing discipline and really create new ways to go to market with better customer insights.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think just to touch on some of the points you raised, I think it's important to realize the fundamentals of marketing are still the same.
Yes.
It's still about matching customer demand with what you're selling, solving a problem and enabling customers to be satisfied with what you're delivering. I think that's super important to stay focused on that. The second thing is you do have to get into this. Either adopt, adapt, and incorporate AI, or really you're going to be left behind. Because as you said, this entire industry is shifting. I also think that when you mentioned something I think is very important, it's going to be hard to tell what's tough and to tell what's real and what's fake. So it is really hard, and I think it's going to be important. I believe the highly competitive marketers are going to build trust and authenticity, and this is going to become very valuable in marketing. And how you actually create that relationship with customers comes out of that hyper personalization you mentioned. But I also think it's about, the ethics we're going to talk about later, the transparency, and how do you help customers understand what's real and authentic, and how do you convey that real positive connections with customers through the use of AI to create that outcome. Because I don't know, I feel like real is going to be very important and highly valuable, and you can create that even with AI.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I think, we talk about customer and customer first and customer is king, but I'll be honest, I don't think a lot of the way that companies market today is actually to the customer. I'll tell you, a lot of the personalization that's done on the website and a lot of the personalization that's done in the entire customer journey is still focused on better ways to communicate the product and not to meet the customer's needs. And this is where AI will really transform marketing, because it will allow you to synthesize vast amounts of data very quickly to create correlations between what the customer is visiting in terms of your content on the site and what's resonating with them, and then what products they're purchasing, and to create that sort of trifecta of what really resonates with the customer and meets their needs, and incorporate that back into the marketing strategy versus it just being a push to the customer of what you have and the features you got.
Right. Yeah. Or giving it a blast approach where you think you're personalizing, but in fact, you're not taking that moment to get more data to understand what they really want.
Exactly.
And I think the data, like predictive analytics and the use of the huge data that's available, and integrating data from multiple sources, and being able to create a profile of your ideal customer. And then how do you test to talk to them, right? How do you make sure that whatever you're serving serves them? And I still think that content personalization requires a human in the loop to go, were they searching for their grandmother, or were they looking for themselves? What do they really need, and how do you find that out? That leads us to talking about examples. And I think it's fundamentally important to understand exactly how this works. So I'd love for you to share some of the examples that you've done, including your AI conversion accelerator. But tell me how this works. How do you make the data and that customer knowledge and your content, the trifecta you mentioned, really create results?
I think it all comes down to really understanding what the data is telling us. What is the story and the picture that the data is trying to paint for us that are in business? And in order to do that, you have to get these vast amounts of data. It has to be plotted and put into some kind of a dashboard. And not just that, I hear from executives all the time. They get PowerPoints full of data, but there's no key takeaway.
Yeah.
There's no key insight. How do these data points connect back to each other? How they connect to the past, and how do they connect into the future? That's still lacking in all of the data infrastructure and dashboards and products that we have today. It outputs data, but it does not create clear strategies or takeaways. So I think that the step for marketing is to really understand how all this data comes together. What is it showing us? For example, in COVID, so I had my data science team, and this is something that a lot of marketing organizations don't have yet. I had a data science team that reported into me. Their sole job was to take all of the customer data, including traffic and content that they were consuming, and fuse it with a marketing strategy. So through that, we were able to tell when customers were changing their buying behavior, especially during COVID. And so understand that buyers were actually purchasing more, but purchasing the lower price product. And that's not what we wanted to happen. And they were confused and they were scared about what was happening in the future. And so we tried to introduce new payment methods that allowed them to pay over a period of time so they could go back to their regular purchase behavior without sacrificing any of the work or being worried about what the future was. So that was one way where we used data and we pulled it together with marketing. And the other one, was the conversion accelerator. So by nature, I am a problem solver. So I solve problems for customers and I solve problems for companies. We had one of our lowest priced customer journeys that led to one of our lower priced products. It took about 68 days for that customer to make that purchase decision, which was really long for a product that was $200-$300. And I knew that they were having some trouble because I was able to understand the content they were consuming. They came in on a keyword that was very specific to the product that they eventually purchased. But in that journey, they bounced back and forth between support pages, help pages, FAQ pages, and other products. And it really told me they were confused. So what I did was I programmed this chatbot using open source software. I taught myself a little bit of AI, enough to be dangerous because, I'm not a coder, but I'm a YouTuber, right? I love YouTube. So was able to go there, teach myself a little bit about that, and then worked with a web developer to create this actual chatbot. Now, this chatbot is different than a lot of the chatbots out there because it uses customer intent. So we were able to pull in
Siara, I'm getting internet cut
customer
out.
intent flags that are tilted. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Are
Siara,
you, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you now, but the first part of your story is very important. So I would love for you to repeat that if you could about what the chatbot was. You were saying it's not like normal chatbots. So if you can start there again, that'd be great. For some reason that was cutting out.
Sure. So if you have this chatbot, everybody has chatbots nowadays, but the reason why this chatbot is different is it uses customer intent to really start the conversation. And the difference between any other chatbot and this one is that we were able to pull in intent flags using our data science work that we did and really begin to understand what this customer is probably most likely going to purchase. So we pulled in predictive analytics into the chatbot. I had a chatbot developer create that for me, and we merged those two sort of pieces of thought together. And it led to a decision cycle that was 68 days long, being condensed down to 14 days, and revenue accelerating 4x in one of our toughest sectors, which is non-branded keywords. Now, for all the digital marketers out there, non-branded keywords are 10 times more expensive, and you never, ever break even on that investment. But we were able to do all of that.
Wow. So break it down a bit. So it looks like you had a chat bot that uses intent. So where did you get the intent data from? How did you connect the bot to that? And then it sounds like you implemented it, and was it activated on the website? So where was the starting point for that journey?
So the starting point of the journey actually begins with the keywords they're typing into Google.
Okay. All right. So
and
that
those,
great.
Yes, so those keywords are intent keywords. So we're able to understand what that customer is looking for. I mean, imagine you're having a headache and you want to understand, is this a stress headache? Is it a migraine headache? And you type those keywords into Google. You are wanting to find out what kind of headache you have. So those keywords tell a lot about what the customer is thinking. When we pulled that in, along with website visits, we were able to ask just a couple more clarifying questions and give them the content we knew they would search for and find 68 days later and convert upfront on the landing page.
Okay, so you basically took that 68-day journey, and from the intent information, made it faster to get to the end. So it took
Yeah,
them 14 days. So
exactly.
yeah, so I mean, that's impressive to be able to get the same results of that. Now, I have a bunch more questions about this because I think this is very insightful. What was those 14 days of content and how did you actually get them to convert? Unfortunately, now we have to go to a break, but I want to make sure that we continue this conversation. So everyone stay tuned to Humanity Evolve, where we'll continue the in-depth dive into conversion acceleration using AI. This is Catherine Calarco with Siara Nazir, and we'll be back right after the break. Thank you.
Okay, good. All clear.
Thanks. It was a good place to break. So
Yeah.
before we got into the next deep dive on how this all works. So that's great.
All right, so I marked down that where she was cutting out there, so that will be edited.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then can you give me 1 second? Let me just make sure that there are no other devices around that are getting my bandwidth. Give me just 1 second.
No worries. Yeah. It's like who's playing video games.
Right.
Yeah, it's often it depends on the time of day too when you can see the impact. But I hope everybody got the point. If the audience needed to more information or missed any of the dialogue, we'll be available to answer any questions via LinkedIn. This is the reality of podcasts at home. All right, you back, Siara?
I'm back.
All right. Count me in anytime, Matt.
All right, that is just about done saving. Okay, all right, here we go. Segment 2 in 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back. This is Catherine Calarco on Humanity Evolve. I am joined today by Siara Nazir, who is an amazing AI marketer. And right before the break, we were talking about her AI conversion accelerator. She was just talking through the details of how the chatbot was able to shorten the journey from 68 days to 14 days and improve conversion from non-branded keywords. So I'm very excited to hear more about that. So to continue the conversation, what were the elements of that journey that enabled you to shorten it from 68 to 14? And was it really content or was it questions?
So great question. It was all content, actually. So
hey, awesome.
we were able to understand. So we do track the content that our customers are consuming during that period of time. And we were able to understand where they had questions between the product they were originally searching for and another product that is very similar. So what we were able to do is create clear comparisons between both that help them understand where one is different and one is similar, and what was the perfect product for what they were looking to do. And it was that clarity that the customers really needed to finalize their purchase decision. And that's what kind of moved that conversion up to the north.
That's fantastic. So you use your existing data and was able to optimize the process and get to an answer for them faster. Now, some of our audience, and you do work with startups and mid-sized companies, may not have a full-scale data scientist on board. What would be your recommendations for enabling this if you don't have data scientists?
I think at the very least, organizations definitely have analytics.
Right.
So that I know most have. And a lot of this doesn't really need a data scientist.
I agree with
They
that.
just need, powerful analytics. They need good tracking, good first party data that's able to collect all of the data that customers are, consuming, the websites, traffic, et cetera, and put it together so it creates a story of what that customer is doing on your site.
Yeah, that's good. I think if you break it down, it's like really have a strategy, right? Focus on something that you can change. Don't try to boil the ocean. Work on something that's, changeable or simple. Figure out where AI fits in and how. look at content. Sounds like content was a big aspect of that. And what tools do you serve that content with? And what is the start of the journey? It also requires that human in the loop, but also there's a lot of ways to get data now, analytics, and be able to pull that together. Learn fast. You were learning quickly, to actually optimize that pipeline, and then create it as a really an experience for customers to get to their answer faster, so they're happier based on that. And I think it's one of the key things that you bring up is that you can do this.
Yes, it's very doable
It's
for
very doable.
any company. And that's what I'm saying. I don't want people to be afraid of AI adoption or be afraid of, I mean, we've been hearing about digital transformation and, oh, it's so much money and so much reorgs and this and that. But, we can start simple. We can start with creative optimization. We can start with automation. We can start with just filling the gap of a stressed out team that has too much work to do, where some of their workload could be automated.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's surprising how a little workshop can ferret that out rather quickly. And you can identify the low-hanging fruit of what is easy to automate and what will create high impact. And I think that one of the other thing is to share with or others that are, what's working, what's not working, and how to avoid mistakes. So I think what we're encouraging everyone to do is to try this, right? And as long as you have good understanding of the roles, et cetera, you can actually create an impact. And it sounds like this was very entrepreneurial. You said, hey, I want to learn this. I want to figure out how to do it and execute it on it. Now, one of the things that does arise is you get, OpenAI stated 80% of the US workforce will be affected by large language models, and that the higher income technical roles will be affected, and that Goldman Sachs says that there will be 300 million full-time jobs that will be automated by the latest wave. Will the machines take over? How will this impact jobs? How do we address the fear that people might have associated with this and enable them to take their people along this journey?
This is one of the most important questions when we come up on any sort of revolution, I would say. Computers came on the 80s, and I think we were hearing the same concerns, job elimination and job automation and things like that. I think this is really an opportunity for organizations around the world to really invest back in their people resources and get them upskilled. Now, there are manual things that will get automated. There are things that, we don't need really human intervention on. But we need someone to read that data. We need someone to connect that data together and make that story. Human involvement will still be critical, but the role and the duty will probably evolve, right? So we're taking people who are probably doers and executioners, and we're leveling them up to be strategists. And that is going to be the skill gap that CMOs and business leaders have to understand and start to invest back in to reserve that workforce. I don't think there will be a time and space where you can easily eliminate 30, 40, 50% of your workforce and think that the work today will actually get done, because there's such a human component in selling and buying and relating. We are still human, and we still need to relate to each other. And COVID brought all of that out, right? We were all isolated, and it really accentuated the need for human interaction.
Yeah, I love the idea that AI can aid us to be more human. I really think people think, oh, the machines are going to run everything. No, they're going to serve us to allow us to be more creative, to come up with design and strategies, to have more time. Think about how you could design as a CMO or a leader in an organization. How could you design your organization to increase capacity by 20 to 30% that you could divert to creativity or strategy development, or designing your business to be more resilient, or solving big problems? or even being able to a 4-day work week. So I think there is the ability to retain productivity, but not increase burnout,
Absolutely.
so that we can have a holistic work environment where we're a team working together and we're not, working 90 hours a week to achieve the same results. I think that's fundamental. I don't believe that we can go forward and build resilient organizations unless we enable our teams to have more balance and have the tools that help them do their business and their work better. And I think it's up to leaders to figure out how to do that. What decisions do you need? What simple things do you need to bring in? And yes, jobs are going to change. It's going to go from X to Y. And when has that not happened?
Never. I mean, look at marketing's own evolution.
Yeah.
We went from television and radio to digital, right? And that evolution created a whole new set of opportunities that people could grasp onto and evolve to. And it's going to be the same. So I think it's natural to have fear in this day and age, but I really believe that there is such tremendous opportunity for us to make our lives easier, for us to be less burnt out, for us to do what every business leader has always been asking team members to do, which is please spend more time thinking and strategizing and not executing.
Yeah. Think about how to be more innovative, how to get closer to your customers, how to create products that truly resonate with their needs, how to spend time on why marketers got into this. People and products. We really want to serve the world and grow businesses and create wealth and abundance for our entire network of stakeholders and employees. So I believe, and maybe I'm a little bit biased, and we can talk about the ethics things in terms of, I think marketing could really be one of the functional leaders in showing how AI can serve the business, serve our teams, and serve the wider community. There's so much efficiencies that could be created. It doesn't have to be done overnight, but I think you can do that. It takes that strategy, it takes decision, it takes clarity and communications. I mean, there's a lot of change management that goes into that, but you can do this. This is something that you can see impact very quickly. I mean, I'd love to be able to help teams to be super excited about what they build rather than, oh my gosh, I can't get this done. I got to be up until 11 o'clock at night, So,
absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the marketing discipline is not only ripe for disruption, but it's ripe for this forward-thinking leadership that you're referring to, like to be that part of business that actually absorbs AI, transforms business, transforms the way that we go to market and talk to customers, and how we fuse insights with our marketing strategy. I've kind of posted and talked a lot about my prediction is the CMO, as we see it, will evolve to a CMSO, Chief Marketing Science Officer, and that those two disciplines, which are the art and science of how we talk to customers, are actually going to be one.
And I think it's not science as, oh, we're going to data this out and not really, we're going to look at the numbers and it's only the numbers. We're still going to have that marketing side, which is about customer centricity. Understanding the customer from the customer's point of view and using data that helps us to do that and to personalize the journey that takes them from search or from having a problem and not knowing the solution to actually being served with a solution in the end. And I think it will make more positive chatbots, that right now, I don't know, chatbots are pretty annoying, but they'll get there.
I agree.
They'll get there. So in that scenario of the creating new jobs and designing our future and putting, marketing customer at the center of this evolution, what are some of the pitfalls? What do you think are the challenges that we need to overcome? And, what are areas that we need to address?
Well, I think with AI, there's definitely that ethics question, right? How stable is the model? And we've all probably heard about hallucinations. And for those that don't know, hallucinations are when just the Chat GPT or any sort of AI model just starts talking in another language when you never coded it in another language, or it starts, giving
Making up a
you,
story.
yeah, making up the story, making up facts, right?
Yeah.
And just, giving you wrong answers. So I think that is definitely a concern. But I think the solution to that, so when you think about it, AI and any AI model is all about learning. So if you feed it limited data, so for example, ChatGPT, everybody who interacts with ChatGPT, that is from information in 2021.
Right.
That model has not updated since then. So you have to understand the model continues to learn based on interaction. So the more we put out there and the more we teach that model and the more diverse thought we put into it, the better the model will represent what we want it to represent, right? And that's the key. And that's why I know that there's a strong ethics concern here, but my goal is to democratize AI so much that there are so many people using it, that goodness and the way that people think is embedded into the outputs of that model. And that is the only way we can solve it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's you talk about this. I do think the biggest issues and challenges are data quality and privacy. It's actually, and I think it's up to leaders to understand embedding goodness.
Yes.
And I think you have to embed goodness and, do good and make money, not make money at all costs, and it is a requirement to really understand, how do I create that accurate data? How do I empower AI algorithms, remove biases, even unconscious biases or data standard issues? I mean, the quality of that data is important, and for leaders to understand how good or not good the data is. The other thing is really about what you touched on briefly is guidelines and ethics and governance, to really set an operational philosophy and guardrails to not only embed goodness, but provide guardrails for people to know how to use, or so that the system itself helps to navigate and provides boundaries for what can and can't be done, or how to optimize, or what are the checks, et cetera. And you touched on the legacy systems earlier around, how do you integrate them? How do you bring the data in from multiple sources to be able to use them and integrate those so that you're not leaving out important data points? And the last piece is really, you mentioned it, talent, that having a team that's constantly learning. I mean, we have adapted as marketers for decades, like we know how to do this, and we're very adaptable people. We know how to we are agile, and we understand how to do this. And I think it's important to build that expertise and find talent and the necessary skills, even if it's external. So I think we're kind of taking a deep dive into the ethics questions. I think it's important to continue this dialogue and understand more about how you as a marketing leader can embed goodness in the AI programs. We are going to take a break now, but we will be right back in a few minutes. This is Catherine Calarco on Humanity Evolve. Please stay with us and join us in the conversation at the end to talk about where to take this next.
All right, good segment, all clear.
All right, thanks. It's good. It's
Very
good.
good. Oh my God, love this conversation. I swear I could talk to you forever, Catherine, really.
I know. It's like this is what the show's about, right? It's about, let's have a really good conversation about this and dive into it and have some real answers. And I know it's tough to get into the micro details of it all, but I'm hoping everybody out there gets at least one or two things that allows them to move forward, or they learn something, or they can optimize what they're doing, So, and plus it's fun to talk to you, Siara.
Oh, yeah, I love talking to you also.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And so the best way for people to get in touch with you is via LinkedIn. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I will make sure to do that at the end.
All right, so that segment is saved. We're good to go. Just let me know when you're ready.
All right. Ready anytime.
All right, here we go. Final segment in 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back. This is Catherine Calarco on Humanity Evolved. And before the break, we were taking a deep dive into how to embed good into your organization's use of AI to optimize marketing and create better engagements with your customers. Now, and there's lots of ways, and one of the key things that we were talking about is data quality, data privacy, data integration. And just in building on this area of ethics, from your perspective, what do you think are the key elements for increasing, what do businesses and marketers need to be aware of? Have you examples of how you've used AI responsibly and delivered results? So kind of talk about what you installed to assure that ethics were considered in the AI in marketing.
Well, I think, nobody wants marketing campaigns that are creepy. I don't think anybody wants those, right? And there's certainly been times in the marketing discipline where, companies have kind of crossed that line a little bit, right?
Yes.
I think it really, comes down to understanding what is off limits, right?
Yeah.
Would this make you uncomfortable if you saw it, if all of your data is out there? Personalization is great, but over personalization, when it comes and when it starts to bring in data that makes customers feel uncomfortable, is not going to be good for any company or organization. So I think this is where I would really advocate. And I know we work a lot with legal and privacy. Every major company has a legal and privacy arm. But I really think with a decentralized self-service model like AI is creating the landscape to be, we really need a separate AI ethics board in the company that really looks at things like how data is being used, how it's being cleansed, how long data and customer information is being stored on the company system. And then in the marketing world, there is a lot of data that we have to exchange, right? And in this sort of cookie world that's eventually going to go away, we do work with advertisers. They do have tags on our website that track traffic and things like that. And it's meant to optimize, but it also captures information of where customers have visited, right? And at some moment in time, those things likely will not get reviewed by legal and privacy, but need to get reviewed by an ethics board. And this is where I think the creation of an ethics board is going to be really important for us to mitigate any of the risk that happens with this decentralized self-service AI model that's getting adopted by many parts of the business.
Yeah, that. And I think it's not only the ethics board, like we were talking about before the break around guidelines and boundaries, and it's also embedding that vision and mission and ethos into the team that's pushing the button, right? The coal face is the guardians of the don't be creepiness.
Yes.
And I think that it's really important that talent development, that you hire, you train, that you constantly are clear about the values you're conveying, and that there's a governance associated with that when something gets new, or how are we doing this? Is that right? Because I do think we're learning. There are things we don't know that we suddenly go, wow, I didn't realize that there was biases in our data. And now what do you do, right? Well, I wasn't intending to be biased. We just didn't have enough data, or we were using a data set that had this embedded, or whatever it was, right? So I think it's actually then to be a constant learning organization. But I do think it comes down to the people who are doing the work and how well they understand that mission, and the transparency to ask for help, or the trusted environment to kind of have conversations around this, as a team. What are we doing? Yeah, that seems great. Or, oh, I feel really weird about that. And you have to allow your team to say something, to have the ability to go, that just doesn't, but do it in a way that's not, performance oriented, like not about an agenda. It's more about authentic. I'm uncomfortable, I'd like to talk about it. Or I have the ability to say, hey, I've got this great idea. Customers have been asking for this. How could we create a forum, or how could we have them share information between themselves? Like there might be opportunities that they see because they're at that data exchange between the customers and the company. But I do think it's fundamental that every level has an understanding of what the values are, and that it's not left just to a board to find.
Yeah, and let me ask you, Catherine, I don't know how many companies we all have worked for collectively, but where has ethics been part of the onboarding process in the first 30 days? It's not even been there. It's not there today. And it is going to be imperative that we build that.
Yeah, and it's going to be a function of your marketing meetings.
Yes.
It's, you're going to set credos, and those credos are going to be naturally communicated maybe every meeting. So it reinforces it as an operational practice that we are becoming human-centric, AI-driven business. And to do that, we need to be conscious of what that means to be human, and it takes adapting to that. I think it's possible, but you got to do it, right? And I think it's also interesting leading into change management, because a lot of this kind of is a change management scenario, and be conscious that it is change management. People are, they may want to use deep fakes because it's super effective and they got to meet their numbers. But is that the way to do it? Is it okay to have lower numbers in order to do something right, and then learn how to make the right things work? And I said, yeah, it is. Of course it is. The fundamental marketing are still the same, and just listen to the customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I think AI will force us to alter our business strategies that were built on business goals to be customer strategies that are shaped and morphed by customer data.
Right.
And I think, many companies talk about, oh, yes, we're a customer company, but their marketing is all about their product and their features, but it's not about the value to that customer.
Yeah. That's why I love the some of the models, the strategy models. Like not very many people know about this one, but the Delta model by Arnaldo Hacks talks about bonding with customers, not competing with your competitors. It's about adding value to the extreme that no one wants to leave, and it's really about, creating a business that's focused around that and how to do it. There's methodologies, and you can simplify it to make it work. And the other one obviously is Christensen, the Christensen Institute, and what Clay Christensen has done about the innovator's dilemma, and how do you disintermediate yourself within a large corporation, and how do you actually enable mavericks to survive in an organization so that you've got that leading edge learner that can help adapt the company. You've got to have that one or two people that love this space and help the organization to learn and adapt it. Anyway, I find that there's always beacons out there that help you navigate strategy that can be adapted to new innovations like AI.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that.
Yeah. So, we got to talk about the future, right? So I know we almost feel like we're creating the future. We're in fact designing it. But, how do you envision AI continuing to shape marketing? What do you think it's going to look like in the next, say, 3 to 5 or 5 to 10 years? Don't go to 10. That seems so far out. Just
yeah, I know. Every day is different.
Yeah,
so
I know,
like
exactly.
in the next year.
Right.
But yeah. No, I think that marketing will really be disrupted. It really, really will. I think there is going to be a point in time where either businesses and marketing organizations are with the data and AI and the technology, or they're not, and they're going to get left behind. So there is going to be a very defining moment in time when that happens. I think the marketing organization skill set will change. I think the structure and makeup of what companies do and how they organize their teams will change. So an example of that is teams are still organized by digital media channel, and brand is separate. And if we're talking about customer journeys, those teams can't execute in a silo, and they have to be one team. And not, when I say one team, it doesn't mean they all report into the CMO, but they actually have to talk to each other about what that customer is seeing from beginning to end, and does it make sense, right? And then the analytics, each marketer will have to start to build up an analytical skill set and mindset to be able to look and understand numbers and investigate what that customer is trying to tell them, and how do they alter their strategy to really meet the needs of the customers. So I think it's going to be, even though we're in a time and space where we can hyper personalize, I think there's still room to personalize even further. There is going to be room to automate vast amounts of what we do on a daily basis as marketers. And then there's going to be more room to think of grand ideas that machines will never be able to think of. And that's what's going to change. There's going to be new ideas coming on the horizon, new products, and new ways to talk to our customers that we've never seen before.
Yeah, I think you've summarized it very well. And I think those key elements are very important. And I think one of to add to what you're saying is these are emerging trends that are happening. You've got to get involved in it. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect. You got to learn from other people, and that these technologies and individuals are ways to help us be better marketers. And I love the idea of removing silos, create cross-functional end-to-end unit teams that are really more about the end game rather than just their piece. Now, how do we do that effectively? That's a good question based on the organization. I think another vision, which would be amazing, is we have a lot of macroeconomic and global challenges. What if you were sitting in an organization that had a dramatic climate impact footprint? And if you could automate a lot of the organization, can you create the capacity and use AI to help you go, what would the business look like if we didn't have any plastic in it? What would the business look like if we used 70% water, 70% less water? Could we create an organization that enabled us to contribute to the future generations, and still make money, in healthcare? How could, I'm involved in a lot of opportunities to help us deliver better health and create more access and simplify it and make it less costly. How could we as marketers enable us to create more efficiency in an organization, enable it to be more effective, but create capacity to solve big problems? And when we were at MIT, there was 3 of the professors working on this, and they said that they needed 20% more capacity in an organization for it to actually create the future. So could AI in marketing enable that capacity building, so that instead of just doing more work with less people, you are enabling more problem solving as an organization to be a better corporate governing as part of this planet, and still make the same amount of money,
Absolutely.
I think that's possible. And I know maybe I'm way too futuristic in that, but I just want to put the challenge out there that AI is a tool that can help us do that. So just to summarize some of the things that you said, which I think were brilliant, is that that it is going to transform all of marketing, that you need to actually adapt or diminish, that it actually enables us to remove silos and change the entire structure of marketing. The skill sets will shift, and we have the ability to take teams from more a tactical execution to more strategy and design. And it helps us to automate across the organization and adapt to be able to be more customer-centric and create revenue growth and a customer satisfaction improvement by really making a true customer-centric organization through effective hyper-personalization. So that I just think this can happen, right? And I think it's step by step. You employ simple things, make it easy for people to move into, I think I hope that all of you have come up with something that you can do, and you've written it down, and that you'll share it with us. Please connect with us. Siara, I think you're fantastic, and I want to thank you for being here and sharing your knowledge and wisdom with our audience today. I hope that they got a lot of value out of it, and if they have, please tell us. Let's continue this conversation. Debate the points, add the points, email us with more questions, but let's keep this dialogue going. You know, we're in it to make it positively possible. So
Absolutely. I love that. Positively possible. I love that.
All right, Siara, thank you so much for joining us. Any parting remarks or anything that you want to leave our audience with?
No, I would say don't let the fear paralyze you from grasping opportunities that not only better your life, better your personal life, your professional life, and can potentially better everything that we do.
Right, exactly. Create the future we want.
Yes.
So make it happen one step at a time, and know that you can do it, and reach out to others who have that knowledge to learn. It's not about being the expert. It's about being the facilitator, the engineer, the designer, the strategic impetus to make it real. All right, guys, it's been awesome a conversation with you today. Thoroughly enjoyed this. Look forward to continuing. Thank you so much, team. This has been Catherine Calarco with Siara Nazir talking about the future of AI and marketing. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an honor.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Join on LinkedIn.